right. So again, my name is Ian Kesterson. I'm I'm an urban forester for the city of Berkeley, and I really kind of aim my focus toward tree planting coordinator. That is, physically getting trees in the ground. That is running big Arbor Day events and all of our community tree planting. That's kind of just talking trees to the community and trying to ingrain this in new development and engineering and all that when possible. So let's talk about how to use SelectTree, the big SelectTree app, and specifically the list function, practically to grow our urban forestry canopy in light and despite of all of these major challenges we're facing. Okay. So here we are. Okay, so I have three tools, or three kind of like methods that we use this, specifically this list function we'll talk about in SelectTree in general. I use it for in-house training, make sure that all the staff understands the trees we're working with, that our management team is better versed in understanding all of the tree species in our urban forest. I use this mostly to share understanding of the urban forest in our goals with our community, with all of our stakeholders and user groups, and usually specifically with an individual kind of requester of a new tree. And I use it personally and with colleagues for inspiration and collaboration. So we'll work through this. Okay, so the list function, Matt talked about it briefly, but really it's, you go on there, you create your account, super easy. You go through and up in this little top little toolbar, you can make a list, you create a list, and I have a bunch of them. I probably have, I hope you all add some to there, so it's not just a whole bunch of Ian City of Berkeley list filling up the site, but I find they're extra helpful. And two key functions. There's the fun ones that are public, we share with everyone. These are bigger lists, these are ones I put of a whole park, but also for block-wide plantings. Also, there's the viewable by link, which is a nice, helpful tool to share specifically within with your colleagues or to a single user group. That way, you could have it about a specific address, or you don't have to worry about being a finished product. It could be a work in progress. Okay, so again, there's a lot of ways to describe our goals as urban forestry managers. And here's a photo of one key goal. Really, we understand we have an equity issue in our urban forest. We have neighborhoods that are lush and green and as good of a street tree setup as you can get, and we have blocks on the left here with no trees. We're looking to turn the left into the right. We're looking to grow canopy, and that's one key challenge. All right, we have our other key challenge with my awesome graphic arts here. We have our existing urban canopy that is losing trees. So we're thinking through everything that Natalie talked about. We have our drought, we have pathogens and pests, we have development, we have every reason that we know trees can need to be removed, including just running their life cycle in the urban space, which is definitely fast forward compared to an undisturbed natural site. Berkeley's not the oldest city in the world, but we've pretty much been around for all of modern urban forestry and car-based street sidewalk scenario. A lot of these trees are coming up on age and being cycled out. Sometimes we're replanting those same legacy trees. Often those are not suitable for our changing climate, new understanding of what a tree needs to do to live in this space. So we are replacing these. These are our two main use cases here. Okay, so I use this to work with, if we go back to this site on the right here, often it's one of our urban forestry inspectors making the call to remove that tree. They're often in contact with the caller. Okay, they want to know what to replace. So we can work back and forth. We can create these lists together. So we have a couple templates, which are, some bigger picture ones. We have camphor block replacement for overhead lines. We know we have an existing legacy block of these trees. On the overhead line sides where we want a utility-friendly tree, here's a batch of 5 trees. He knows those are all a slam dunk option, and then we could pass that on to the residents for the next step. I also use this in the, so that is for our kind of existing, we understand the urban forest, but our staff mostly understands the trees that we've had to work on. If you've had to climb it or touch it with a chainsaw or mark it with some spray paint, you understand that tree. We don't always understand this new batch of trees unless you're really living in this world. Okay, so that's a good way to share it with them. I also use this. We have a batch of high school summer interns, people on fellowships that we're teaching the urban forest to. So we do a lot of these tree walks. So I like here's the awesome trees we saw today from the summer. We walked around, we pulled out the phone, we added these on the list as we walked around and identified trees. We were able to go back to the computer later at the day, spend some more time understanding about those trees. Okay, terrific training tool. We also use this to explain what we did to the greater public. We do a lot of these volunteer tree planting days. Here was a big, awesome, we had a couple of these events, about 150 trees planted all throughout this park. These days are mad dash. We're digging holes, we're planting trees. And even if you are aware of the trees that you planted, you didn't plant every single one of them. So after the fact, it's nice to be able to share out a map, put a list of all the trees that were put on there so that our public can understand the trees that they're looking at when they're coming back to their park. Find this education component with them is so helpful to gain support for the urban forest. The more they know, the more they can care. So, we care for the trees, but we need them to care about the trees. And this is one effective tool for that. Okay, here's another big park we did. This is the last one was we put all the trees in there. We gave them the info after the fact. Here's one big park. This was this long project, planting a bunch of trees along the freeway. We put over 1,000 trees in there. And this is, while it's kind of a disturbed area this is the aquatic park in the city of Berkeley. Used to be marshland filled in with construction debris, 70 years ago. Now it's a park. We're still trying to host wildlife. It's a disturbed site. It's really challenging. So I wanted to promote the batch of native trees that we're going to plant in there while also demonstrating the need for some of our supporting cast. So here in this highlight here, we have a red flowering eucalyptus as one of the supporting cast, along with 1,000 other California shrubs, plants, and big awesome trees. This helped us get public support before we dug the first hole so that we were ensured that everyone was happy and we had a good supported plan. Okay, very specific. The main use case I use for this list function is for tree planting requests. Although we have a big goal we've identified 10,000 vacant tree locations in the city of Berkeley. This all happens one tree at a time usually, besides our big 100 trees at a time in some parks. They're usually one tree at a time for one specific requester. So we get this tree planting request. I go out, or an inspector goes out. We take all our observable measurements. We find the underground utilities. We observe if there's overhead high voltage lines, the width of the planter space. Are there other obstacles like fire hydrants and storm drains? We see all the limitations, and then we curate a list of 3 to 5 available trees that will work well in this site. Is anyone the best of that list? No, these all work. They all work to address our changing climate, our challenges. They're all trees that I know are available through our nurseries. Although we got 2,200 trees in the select tree, there's a batch that work, and there's also another batch that are available. So we start with that, and then we pass that on to the resident requester. They get to pick the best tree, and that's the best tree. So we're just giving available options that meet our urban forestry goals and will be a future sustainable tree and add diversity and everything there. But the challenging thing that Select Tree doesn't offer is it doesn't read the minds of our users. So there's the whole social component, which is a key part of our role. It's not just trees, it's mostly about the people. So this allows them to pick that final tree. Then we can plant that in front of their house. As it grows taller and there's twigs and branches that break off and leaves that fall into their yard, it's not the nuisance that would be the case if we just put that in front of them. So involving them is key to urban forest sustainability. Okay, so we use it for training. We use it for passing on our understanding of the urban forest to our user groups. I use it for personal development. Here's my newest intern trainee, Fiona. So we go on a lot of tree walks and we're cruising around. And as I see ideas of how could I grow this in the urban forest, I can pull my phone out. I can add these continual lists. I keep these in private mode for the time being. But let's see the list we worked on the other day. Here's my what is a tree list, right? Could these be potential street trees in cramped, narrow spaces or neat spots in parks that we could count as a tree? Maybe. We'll move on, but we're able to kind of add to our inspiration. Ultimately, this will be something I could share, collaborate with my colleagues, and then be something that goes back to step one where we train our staff. And maybe this is a new opportunity for a planting project. Okay. So that's all I have for now. We can jump to Q&A later on.